About 140, I think, surrounding us here today. I want to thank the Congressman for his welcome, for hosting this beautiful, beautiful opportunity to meet you in such a gorgeous place, lovely, happy place, and the sun shining. Lovely to come through the park and see all the families really enjoying themselves, particularly on a Memorial Day when there are many hearts, I'm sure, that are heavy with loss and with bereavement. But families gather and support and help one another on a day like this as they call to memory tough times. And we gather also in the name of Ireland and in the name of Ireland's friends, because the Irish have known many's a tough time, and it was tough times that gave us family in the United States. Times at home that were so difficult, that were so oppressive, that drove many of our families, many of our friends, many of our connection, our clan, to make their lives here, as many of them did in this gorgeous part of the United States. And so one of the lovely things is that though they sailed away, whether it was on the days of awful boats, famine ships, or whether it was more recently in aeroplanes, Ireland is very easily carried with you. You can't take the place, you can't take Annascaul, you can't take Belfast, you can't take County Down, you can't take the bits of that, the earth, but you don't have to. You can carry it in your heart in so many ways. You can carry it in the wonderful music that we heard from Seamus and Anya, that is so evocative of all that is good about Ireland. But you carry it, as many of your families carried it, in their hearts, in their souls, in their love of music and literature, as we heard Richie say, in their love of clan, in their commitment to community, in their determination to be, never to be strangers to one another here, ever. Never to be strangers to one another. And always and ever to be faithful to the island that they had left behind and to the families they had left behind. And so I think at this lunch we celebrate the extraordinary miracle, the absolutely amazing miracle of friendship that connects us all the way down through so many generations. It goes down vertically through the generations, and it's as fresh horizontally in this generation as it ever was. That doesn't happen by accident. Those connections do not just happen by coincidence. They happen because people commit to them and make them happen. And I feel very privileged to be in the company of a man who has created miracles out of his own life, out of the gifts that he has, out of the talents that he has, and out of the service that he gives to the United States and Congress. He also finds a huge, big part and place in his life to make a commitment to Ireland and to Ireland's future. And of course I'm talking about the chairman of the Friends of Ireland, member of Congress for over 20 years, our great friend Richie Neal, who has just been an extraordinary through and to peace has been, as many of you know, and as Richie knows only too well, it's been really a very up and down journey. It wasn't a journey that went in nice simple steps. It was sometimes 2 steps forward and 1 step back, sometimes 1 step forward, 2 steps back, sometimes it was paralysis. And it really took people of the utmost patience and ingenuity to keep momentum and to keep traction, and also to keep faith that eventually enough people would change their minds about each other and begin to trust just enough to allow peace to begin to get a grip, so that it would show, it would reveal its strength. And as it revealed its strength, it would draw more people to it. It would draw more recruits to the peace process. There were people who always believed in that. Richie was one of them. Kept on talking to people, including talking to people that nobody else would talk to, but who needed to be talked to in order to be drawn into the process. That took just the most remarkable courage, because particularly when you're in the public eye, and so many people are so anxious to criticise, sometimes it's easy to do the safe thing. That is not something that Richard Neal ever did. He did the right thing. He always did the right thing, the thing that would help to bring humanly decent opportunities to a country that had been, well, that had wasted so many of those opportunities historically. So I want to say a very big thank you to Richie today, because he is and remains a very, very important friend to us on the journey to peace and to prosperity in Ireland. And I know that many of you share with him. Someone said to me just a moment ago, as we were coming in, that Richie was important to the Irish community here because he expresses in what he does the work of their hands and hearts. He is the work of so many Irish Americans who will him on to do this work. So I know that he represents each and every one of you in what he does. Many of the immigrants I know take great pride in Ireland's accomplishments, the fact that it has turned the tide of history. It is no longer the very poor country from which people emigrated through lack of opportunity. It is a country that now has an extraordinary story to tell in recent times of considerable progress, huge progress made, particularly thanks to education, particularly thanks to huge investment. And we have a good story to tell, but like everybody around the world, including the United States, things are tough economically at the moment. They're tough in Ireland, they're tough in the United States, they're tough everywhere. And so we have to say to ourselves when things get tough, what do the Irish do when things get tough? Yeah, they get going, don't they? They do what they've always done, because the Irish have toughness in their DNA. And they have transcendence in their DNA. That's what we do. We get together, we organise, we become community to one another, we do not stay strangers to one another. We stay connected, and we use those connections to harness the very best of our energies, our imagination and our creativity. Put all those hearts and hands together to try and redeem the situation that we find ourselves in. And God knows the Irish have found themselves in many situations over the years that have been in crying need of redemption. And so we have drawn from your stories over many, many, many years, because it's only in very recent years that the tide has turned in Ireland economically and politically. And so for generations, it was your stories we looked to. It was the stories of the first, second, third, fourth, fifth generation that we looked to see what was happening as you made great lives for yourselves, sometimes again very, very difficult circumstances, doing your best and then doing extraordinary things. People working in the most humble of jobs, saving their dollars and their cents and sending them back to Ireland. Instead of creating a margin of comfort for themselves here, they sent money back home knowing that there was no margin of comfort back home. And they did that, they didn't have to do it. As part of the miracle of family and clan that is part of the Irish character and that we celebrate on this very special Monday. I know that one of your finest writers from Massachusetts, I should mention him since we mentioned Seamus Heaney, but I'll mention one of Massachusetts' own, Ralph Waldo Emerson. He once said that America is another name for opportunity. And that was what the Irish who came here grasped. But you know, there's also a phrase at the bottom of a kind of a dodgy diary that I once got with all these little funny phrases at the bottom of it, things that you wished you'd said yourself. But one of them was that if you're given the opportunity of a lifetime, you should use it in the lifetime of the opportunity. And many, many people who came here to the United States presented them with opportunity. But you have to take the opportunity. You have to use it. You have to make it flourish. It doesn't flourish by itself. And so what we celebrate and what Ireland takes great pride in is the way in which her clan, her children, took the opportunities that this place offered to them, made great lives, and in making those great lives reserved this precious and sacred space for Ireland, in which they remain clan, not strangers, friends down the generations, always outreaching to one another, helping one another, looking out for one another. And I know that on this day, that really is what we celebrate. The fact that we can come into each other's company. And many of you I would never have met before, but we know that we will never, ever, ever meet anywhere on this earth where two or more Irish are gathered. We will never meet as strangers, ever. That is a pledge that we've always made to one another, that we will encounter each other as friends, we will encounter each other as family, and we will encounter each other always as people about whom and for whom we care deeply. So can I thank you for the way in which you've cared for Martin and I on this gorgeous day, including the weather committee. We can't believe it. Richie is a genius in every way. He has organised the most extraordinary weather. Richie, to you I say a particular thank you. And we have a nice little gift that we would like to give you, a small gift, to say a very big thank you to a very big-hearted and very special friend of Ireland, Gurmila Maithagib.